Hey everybody, and welcome back to The Shawning, where all horror movies are appreciated, even the really, really bad ones, which leads me to today's topic, which in my opinion is probably the worst horror remake of all time, 2010's A Nightmare on Elm Street. This movie is rough, but there are good aspects to this movie, and we're going to take a look at the good parts and plenty of the bad parts. We're also just going to talk about what could have possibly saved this movie. There's a lot to talk about here, so I got the incense rolling, and I'm ready to talk about a scary movie. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, thank you for all the support as we are on the road to 200 subs. So hopefully we'll get there soon. That would be awesome, and maybe along the way we can do some giveaways and fun stuff like that. Moving on to the scary stuff. Nightmare on Elm Street is a beloved franchise, okay? It's part of the big three. It is Friday the 13th, Halloween, and A Nightmare on Elm Street. This movie slaughtered that poor franchise. And it's really difficult to place the blame. It's bad in a lot of different areas for a lot of different reasons. So I have this broke up into three parts. First, we're going to talk about the characters, or at least the semi-important ones. Then we're going to talk about the overall atmosphere of the movie. And then third is just the good and the bad. There's not a lot of good, so I tried to make it as even as possible, so it did not just seem like I was bashing the movie the entire video. Let's get started. As far as characters go, I'm not going to start with Freddy yet, so why don't we talk about Nancy? I didn't like Nancy, mainly because the original Nancy is my favorite. Her and Jamie Lee are tied for that #1 spot. That's just my personal opinion. I really liked Nancy. I did not like this Nancy. She was garbage. There's interviews and stuff as well. She really was not excited about doing this film. I'm not aware of the actress's name because, to be quite honest, I didn't want to do that much research on a character that I don't really care about. She was bland. Just so bland. There was just no emotion, and it was very difficult trying to feel empathetic towards her because honestly, you're just like, okay, you're kind of snobby though. Then you have Quentin. His character was okay. He's the only one that really seemed like he was going through any of this. It doesn't seem like that they're going through this as much as Quentin is, and it's just off. It's like he was more devoted than the rest, and it just, I don't know. The character balance was all over the place, and it just was confusing. Personally, would have rather had Chris, played by Katie Cassidy. I would have rather her taken over the role as the final girl in this film. Yeah, I would have had Nancy be the one to play that part and then die off, and then boom, you don't know who the final girl is, or da-da-da. We gotta talk about the man of the hour, Freddy Krueger. Every time. Freddy Krueger. Okay, I got it right that time. Played by Jackie Earle Haley. And no, this just isn't it for me. I understand they were trying to go for a more rugged, gruesome Freddy. Okay. No. Don't try to be logical with the man that kills people in their sleep and in their dreams, okay? Don't be like, oh, we gotta think smart now. No, the story is already out there, so if you're gonna think outside the box, you're just gonna have to do it the whole way through. And this just was not effective, okay? His mouth is weird, alright?
You really think your boyfriend could wake you up?
Please don't do this! Please!
I'm your boyfriend now.
It looks like he's been dubbed over, and it sounds very bad. And it's so clean, and the audio is just crisp, and it's awful, okay? The reason people loved Freddy Krueger originally is because, yes, he was gruesome and gross, but he was dark. He was looming in the shadows. You didn't get those close-up shots. Robert Englund was running around with like extended arms and just being, you know, crazy. And that's why we fell in love with Freddy. Not because he was a child predator, which they focus on way too much in this film, by the way. It's creepy, and I don't really understand how they thought they were going to get 2 more films out of that. No one's going to like Freddy, okay? Not if he is a glorified child predator. And I was not a fan of how they perceived Freddy to be. His mush mouth was terrible. I mean, you could compare Freddy to Batman and Batman Begins, and I mean, the voice is very similar. So I don't know why mush mouth was a thing in this time period, but I'm glad it's over, because that was terrible. And we got to talk about the other side of Freddy when they show his human side, and even then, it was just odd. I don't know. They just showed him, they were trying to portray him to be too innocent, and it just, ew, it was gross. The characters really are all over the place in this film, and honestly, it's a disaster. We have to talk about the overall atmosphere of this film. Okay, first off, the town itself. I don't know what or who was in charge of the scenes or where they are in this film, but oh my goodness, it was so bad. They're random places, okay? It does not feel like a town, like that homey presence that the original had. And you can seriously tell how bad that affected this film. There is no sense of these kids are really bonding together. It's not anything like that. I had to watch this movie in parts because I just get so mad because nothing makes sense, nothing fits together. It was just forced into this time slot, and it's like, oh, well, okay, put it together. It's stupid. Calm down, Sean. Calm down. My incense keeps burning out. We're gonna fix that. Okay, now that I got that taken care of. Alright, let's just move on from the town or whatever. We'll talk about the score, okay? This film came out right in the, I call it the era of remakes. You have the Friday the 13th that came out in 2009. This came out in 2010. You had the Rob Zombie Halloweens previously. There's a lot of remakes floating around. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, even though that was in like 2002, 2003, people attach it to this, whatever. The music is all the same, except the only difference is the 2002 Texas Chainsaw is probably the best horror remake ever. So that, we're not even talking about that. We're talking about all these other sequels or remakes that were done around this time. The music is literally the same. As in, the guy does all of the music. Like, all of the music is the same. The sound is way too clean, okay? And in a horror movie, that's just not effective. Like, I understand if you're watching a superhero movie or something like that, or anything with action, you want to have a nice loud boom and pow. But in a horror movie, you don't want that. You don't want those clean, crisp sounds. That's not what scares people, okay? The film is filled with it, and it's awful. The lighting is too bright, okay? I'll show you a clip.
Hi, Chris.
I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Like, why would you show him that bright just immediately? This is the big reveal. I mean, not including the little bit at the beginning, but I mean, you know, here's the big reveal of Freddy Krueger, and he's just super well lit in the daytime in a classroom. What kind of vision is this? As you can see, this movie super frustrates me. I'm just trying to keep my composure, but it's difficult, okay? Now we're going to talk about some good and bad aspects of this film. Even though I've been talking about bad parts the entire time, there is no dream world at all in this, okay? Not like any in the previous films in the franchise. I mean, the dream world is I don't know. They had a cool aspect with the lucid dreaming, especially in the supermarket when Nancy is going in and out of sleep. That is a super, super cool scene. They just don't capitalize on it, and that is the sad part. There are so many good aspects to this film that they just don't capitalize on. There's just a lot of loose ends. For example, there were a lot of times throughout this film that you just couldn't tell if they were going to go the route of the original or try to do their own thing. Tried to mix the two, and it just wasn't there. They have some of the worst CGI ever. I wish they would have not tried to remake the scene where Freddy at the beginning pokes his head out of the wall. They used this CGI. It looks super bad, and I hate it. This last part, in my opinion, ruined the entire movie for me. The repressed memory aspect of this movie was really cool. However, it was misused. If they don't remember, okay, and which I have a very hard time believing that all of these kids just repressed that much, and I'm not believing all that, okay? It's just a weird way that they executed it. Like, okay, they're just saying that all these kids forgot, now they're grown, they don't remember anything, and their parents are acting super weird about it. Like, even Nancy's mom is like, I don't know, she says something weird like, and you were his favorite one. And it was all creepy and disgusting. I just don't understand, like, why did they set it up like that? It's like, as soon as you talk about him, everybody turns creepy. And, oh yeah, he just clawed your back and stuff. But there's no scars or anything, and you're just not gonna remember. It's corny. I like the idea of the repressed memories is cool, but they just didn't come through with it. So it was really just, it was rough. Or, let's not forget about that infamous scene.
Did you know that after the heart stops beating, the brain keeps functioning for well over 7 minutes? We got 6 more minutes to play.
And then, what? Nothing happens. They show that, and then boom, it's over. Why wouldn't you capitalize on that? What happens in those 7 minutes? I want to know. Unfortunately, we never will know. At the end of the day, I will still always think this is one of the worst horror remakes ever. If you're a really big fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, you probably aren't a huge fan of this. If you're not a fan of the franchise, you might love this. I don't know. It's just a weird movie. I'm not going to say I recommend it. I'm not going to say I don't. Everyone has an opinion, so if you like it, that's cool. I'm not like, I ain't judging you. I'm just saying it's not my cup of tea. Well, that's all the negative energy I have for the day to talk about this movie. To talk about any movie, honestly, because now I'm just exhausted. Thank you for watching. Please, if there is a movie you want me to talk about and review and just make fun of or whatever, please drop it in the comments. You keep watching scary movies, I'll keep talking about them, and don't forget to just keep it creepy, y'all.